Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Ugochukwu Ifeanyi on Open Conversation and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Ugochukwu, and welcome.
Good morning, Laurentia. Good morning, Rivers people. Welcome to a new week of political activities and also human activities in Nigeria, especially in Port Harcourt, where the political climate is not speaking favorably, though favorable to us, because for some of us it's not surprising. And Laurentia, what amazed me now is that it seems the political atmosphere in Rivers State is blowing and pushing towards Abia State, our sister state.
Well, we'll look into that. We'll look into that shortly as we get into the story. We promised our viewers yesterday that we'll carry over some of these Abia States, developing stories in Abia State today, and look at it robustly. But then, first of all, let's go to Rivers State. Rivers State House of Assembly has raised their alarm over alleged plots by some individuals linked to the executive arm of government to procure ex parte order aimed at stopping it from carrying out its constitutional duties amid the ongoing impeachment process against Governor Siminalayi Fubara. In a statement issued on Sunday, the chairman of the House Committee on Information, Petitions and Complaints, Dr. Enemi Alabo George, said credible intelligence revealed plans to approach Rivers State High Court outside the Port Harcourt Judicial Division to obtain orders restraining the assembly. He describes such moves as an attempt to subvert the 1999 Constitution and undermine the rule of law. Judge cited relevant constitutional provisions, including Section 272 and Section 188, Subsection 10, which bar courts from entertaining matters relating to impeachment proceedings of a governor or deputy governor. He also referenced recent Court of Appeal pronouncements that faulted similar ex parte orders issued by lower courts in impeachment-related cases. The Assembly urged those behind the alleged plot to exercise restraint and desist from actions inimical to constitutional governance. It maintained that office holders already served with notices of allegations of gross misconduct should respond to them item by item, rather than resorting to what it described as subterranean legal and media tactics, stressing its continued commitment to Constitution and the rule of law. Ugochukwu, what is your take on this development?
Laurentia, this morning during the newspaper review on your sister radio station, I actually reacted to this particular story.
All right.
And also the story about the Mr. City Minister saying that his lifetime job and expertise has been on politics. So that's the two stories I reacted on. So when I saw the story this morning, I was taken aback, because I recall that after the impeachment proceedings was initiated against the governor, the next day it quickly filtered away from the governor's camp that there is already an existing or subsisting court order that bars the Attorney General of the state and Commissioner for Justice from entertaining any correspondence from the assembly members. So if that were to be true, I wonder what
there was an injunction to that effect.
Yes.
Sometime last year, when the first impeachment process was initiated, there was an injunction. Yeah, I remember very well.
Yes. So that being said, because I heard that it had not been vacated. It has not been vacated. So if that were to be true, like what I'm trying to say, is why the jittery about people running to courts. And exactly what I heard the majority leader of the House in his expose, he said that those who are running around the state high court to get such injunction should also be reminded that in a case that concerns the assembly members and the governor, should not be entertained by the lower courts. It's from the federal high court. You recall that this was the same mistake, or this was the same line the governor and his camp took when this issue started. They are at it again, because tomorrow now, the Nigerians know how to condemn the courts and know which court you can go and purchase judgment and all whatnot. But you know, my happiness in this is that religious morality, like we saw the governor was in a church in a church program yesterday, saying that God is with him. We are here when his wife, we are singing, and we are talking about God, one with God is majority. I think that's the statement the governor made yesterday. So religious morality does not come into political morality, because these are two separate and parallel lines that can never meet. Though they work in synergy, both religion and politics are played by human beings and is for the welfare of humanity. But when you just oppose their separate dealings, they don't interwoven. So if there has been a substituting court order that has been the alibi of Mr. Governor and his camp, why the G3 and why the haste in going to procure another kangaroo court orders? And the statement of the House emanating from the House of Assembly has made it explicit that even the Constitution, does not
bars the court
yes, envisage what could happen. Envisage what could happen in such a move, where an impeachment notice will be served on the governor and he quickly rushes to the court.
All right.
So he has now, the framers of the Constitution captured it to show you that this is the constitutional right of the assembly members to conduct investigation. If you say you are innocent, present yourself for investigation. The assembly members have not started and did not stay by mere proclamation that the governor had been impeached. The Constitution did not give them such order, but there is a laid-down procedure which started from reading out the gross misconduct and the infractions being committed by any governor at all, and again sending it to the governor to see and peruse through to know if the sins they have listed against him or her, they are true or not. Then you can now respond. If in your response they are not satisfied, they will now move to the Attorney General and the Chief Justice of the State to constitute a panel, which no member of the House of Assembly will be a member, which no member of the State Executive Council will be a member. So a neutral body that will now independently look at the infractions allegedly committed by the governor as preferred against him by the State House of Assembly. And if that is found to be true, or if maybe 5 among the majority among the listed items outweighs the one the governor did not fall prey of, then the assembly can take their decision. But running to the court, and again to a court that is not saddled with the responsibility of entertaining any matter that is concerning the governor and the House of Assembly, is where it beats my imagination. So whoever is doing this, whether those that are empathic to the governor or those that are in the governor's camp, that are taking this type of initiative, we know that it is an effort in futility. Right. That at the end of the day, the Constitution will override whatever it is, because the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, is the grand norm, and upon which the assembly members has established a prima facie allegation against the governor, which they have written to him.
All right.
So it is for the governor to look at it and be able to, in writing, in good conscience, in writing, say that he can explain, even if he's found culpable, he can explain for the people now to look at it and say, okay, this is why he did this or that. But running to the courts and not playing the politics again. Laurentia, if I were to be the governor, like you advised yesterday, the governor should be playing the politics other than running to the courts. And they have said it that the court cannot save him. And we have seen it in the constitutional section that have been written.
But one would say, to a large extent, there has been an appeal court judgment in the course of the crisis, you know, in Rivers State between 2024 to 2025. There has been an appeal court judgment that said that actually did bar state high courts from entertaining matters pertaining to the State House of Assembly and the executive, as it were. And the appeal court made it very clear that the federal high courts, though federal high courts and state high courts are courts of coordinate jurisdiction,
yes,
the federal high court enjoys certain exclusive reserve when it comes to matters. For example, matters that have to do with federal institutions, right? Matters pertaining to the state houses of assemblies and matters pertaining to the governors of states. But in this instance, one would, well, if that is the case, Assembly might decide to also bring up the appeal court judgment
that has already overridden that.
Whatever they are doing now, one would say there was an appeal court judgment, you understand?
Yes.
But then, on another hand, one would also say that even if the governor should decide to play politics with this one, probably to buy time, because that's the highest that can be done, to buy time. We have seen assemblies in this country do kangaroo impeachment. And guess what? That impeachment held.
It stood.
And it stood pending,
yes,
when the court, right, when the court upturned that impeachment.
Which will litigate to the Supreme Court.
But not even that. But the thing is this. The governors were impeached. They were removed from office.
Of course, immediately.
Even though these impeachments were kangaroo impeachments, the impeached governors went to court to challenge it. And guess what? Court gave judgment. But the judgment came after their tenure
elapsed.
Yes. One could see, because we will learn from other, presidencies.
Yes.
If the governor goes this way, then the assembly will be like all bets are off the table. You understand?
Of course.
If the executive goes this way, then all bets are off the table because they are now trying to stall due process. And one would say they are doing that which is extrajudicial. And if that holds, then assembly might decide to go the other way. Truth be told, the governor will still be impeached, whether constitutionally or unconstitutionally, and then the governor will now have to start going to the court to challenge the legitimacy of that removal.
Yes.
But that matter might drag in court till elections. This is the fear.
And even when he must have gotten judgment in the courts, it's only for his statutory allowances and emoluments to be paid. That's all he can get.
And then probably his name will not go down as governor that was impeached.
Yes.
But this is the fear, right? And again, that might also lead to breakdown of law and order in the state.
Laurentia, so, you're talking about his name not being in the annals of history of a governor that have been impeached, and in the minds of Nigerians. In Nigeria, we are not people of letters and what is documented. We are product of history and what we can see. Fubara is impeached. When this issue was brewing last year and last 2 years, we came here and there was a controversy about the reinstatement or reinstating of the portrait of the Omeha, the government house, and the time Wike reinstated that, and when he removed it and Fubara came and also brought it back. And I said here on this table of truth that in the annals of Nigerian history, he is not, Celestine Omeha is not to be seen
the court said
as a former governor.
Said he was not a governor.
Yes, he was not a governor. But till today, what I mean is in our own in our own sentiment and in our own little way, we still refer to those people as governors. But when you come to history,
to a large extent on open conversation, I don't recall anybody listing out governors in Rivers State and mention Celestine Ome here? Not one time.
Yes, I'm talking about when it comes to some of us that are in the know. But when you talk about him in our locality, when you talk about him, people will still refer to him as a one-time governor. But we know that in the history of Nigeria, his name is not to be mentioned as a governor. So what are we saying here? The Constitution of Nigeria, foresaw what is happening today. And that is why the Constitution made it explicitly clear when we were discussing about all those litigations, 2024 and 2025. When we were talking about those litigations, I also exposed what you exposed here. When people were saying the governor has gotten a judgment, the governor got, and when the case got to the Supreme Court, the appeal court said that the lower court, which is the state high court, has no jurisdiction to entertain those matters. Therefore, there was no case at all. But how our people feel sentiment and all these bias and all that. When the governor wants to institute a particular case, he knows and his handlers and his lawyers know where to go. But in order to buy time, just as you have said, or even if they obtain this particular judgment, is an ex parte order, which has an expiration date, which he cannot say that the House of Assembly cannot go ahead with the impeachment process.
But then one would say, to a large extent, if one is to look at politics in Nigeria and also look at the nature, the peculiarity of politics in Rivers State, and also the individuals involved, as well as their advisors and their foot soldiers, genuinely, one would advise that the governor should move fast and use political solutions. Anything legal, trying to, make a backhanded or backdoor move.
I say we want to smart the assembly members.
Will only exacerbate the situation.
Of course.
It will be seen as provocative before the people that even have the powers to, impeach you. It will be seen as provocative, genuinely. That is why, personally, I just wish this whole crisis can just come to end, because at the end of the day, our resources, we are not getting the impact of governance. And Rivers State resources is huge. I don't want to say infinitesimal, but it is huge. When people talk about Lagos State, I just smile. People do not know what Rivers State has. And this is why, when you look at every government in power at the federal, has always had eyes in Rivers State. Always had eyes in Rivers State. During the time of Peter Odele, it was the same. During the time of Amechi, it was the same. During the time of
Nyesom
Wike, it was the same. The federal have always had eyes in Rivers State. Rivers State has war chest when it comes to elections. In fact, the war chest of Rivers State is so deep. It's so deep.
That any party on the center we need.
Wasn't by the fact that there was a permanent injunction by Peter Odele that Rivers State governors and their expenditures cannot be proved. But then, it is what it is. I would really implore that political solutions should be engaged and very, very quickly. Any move to go through state high courts will be seen as backdoor move, and it will only exacerbate the situation. It might buy time, but the inevitable will definitely happen.
Laurentia, you have spoken well as always, but like I said yesterday, have the governor understood that this is a political fight? Has he understood that this is politics? I narrated how the governor, what I heard that the governor of Kano State is doing, just to make sure he gets the people, because politics is about the people, and the people that matter, not the people on the street. This is Nigerian politics. We don't want to mince words in it. The caliber, I watched the FCT minister yesterday on the conclusion of his grand finale visit at Obiapo local government. You see who is who. Tony Okocha was there. Tony Okocha, the chairman of APC, was there. So the Rainbow Coalition in Rivers State is working. Let nobody deceive the governor. On this table of truth, there is nothing we have said here that have not come to pass.
Anybody can like it or not, but we are here to tell the governor the truth. The governor, if he has taken into account some of the things he has heard from us here, the governor would have not entered into this political quagmire in which he found himself. The governor should play politics, set aside, forget about the cause. The constitution, like when you were making an expose yesterday, you talked about the Supreme Court made it explicit, even the people, that there is no governance in Rivers State.
And when the Supreme Court says there is no government in Rivers State,
yes,
that is gross misconduct.
Yes, to show you that it is a breakdown of governance.
And if I am still talking about that, you know, when you go through social media, it's, you know, the whole thing, the social media is agog with Fubara and FCT Minister debacle, and you can see sentiments, a lot of sentiments towards the governor's side. But genuinely, I will also implore the governor to understand that politics is not done on social media. You don't run politics on social media, because at the end of the day, remember when the social media was a buzz? 2023,
yes.
2024,
yes.
2025. The social media pressure did not stop Supreme Court from ruling against the governor. The social media pressure,
even the withholding of the allocation,
did not stop the appeal court from ruling against the governor.
Yes.
The law is not emotional.
No.
The law is not sentimental.
No.
The law looks at facts before it.
Yes.
And when Supreme Court gave their judgment, I was like, oh, it's sad, because regardless of how you look at it, that Supreme Court judgment alone is a news on the government. So anybody that's like Rivers elders that came to take side and said that the impeachment is unconstitutional. Hello, there is a Supreme Court judgment saying there was no government.
Yes.
And there was no government because the legislature were not respected by the governor. And there are video evidence to that, when the governor said, I did recognize them.
I gave them floating.
And he did recognize them. And also went ahead to act in that line as well. So when we look at all these things, how do you say this impeachment process is not constitutional? One would only say, let there be peace. And, you know, the governor should be very smart about this. I think the governor should also review the people giving him advice. Whoever his handlers are, whoever he has, whoever he holds in trust, that, you know, tells him whatever that he listens to. I think the governor needs to review the people that are very close to him and are giving him advice, if genuinely they have his interest at heart, considering that a lot of these people feel that the governor was underqualified for the position and they are more qualified to be in that position. If I move on to the next story.
Yes.
Do you see the possibility of peace in Rivers State at this point? This will be the third agreement that did not hold.
Laurentia, you recall after the 18th of September 2025, after the expiration of the emergency rule, I sat here with you and said that peace was not achieved. You probed me and when I said that I needed to see that peace cemented, that I've not seen the camp of the governor and that of FCT minister. Choma,
I was not happy with that.
You probed me, and I kept saying what I was saying, because I said, well, where are the 4 members of this assembly members that we are in the camp of the governor, and what is the position of Edison here? Even till now, Laurentia.
Oko Jumbo, so good boy.
And I said, what is the position? Hence, we know that Dana Gogo has been asked, who is the secretary to the state government. I said, what is the position? You said that the governor has not appointed a new chief of staff. I said, but the way we saw this act in that capacity, we are not seeing it. Even till now, at this moment, I've not even had any press statement or anywhere that, apart from after the burial of his brother or his somebody, he was bereaved then. Immediately after they came back from the 6 months emergency rule, that the governor spent hours there, you know, and the assembly members recognized we are having a palace somewhere else. So I came here and I said, Laurentia, I didn't see any peace. So that until I see these people fraternize together, the governor should take those people to Mr. City Minister. Let's see them together. you chase. But today, that my word has come to pass.
Yes,
we are the trenches now.
Because he's limitless in terms of war chest if he wants to fight, right? But who are advising the governor? It's who is with him. He wasn't able. How the ability even they have that misconduct. All of them have agreed.
Yes.
And mind you as well, they have also have been seized. They have also used the of dabbling into the Assembly Commission and also, you know, for it's a wrong statement.
Yes, but
Fubara has the right.
He has the right
to contest.
He
has the right to vote and be voted for. Now the thing is, how is he going to play the politics?
That is what
to
I'm
emerge
as a flag bearer.
But for anybody to come out and say that the governor cannot run elections, that is unconstitutional.
It is wrong.
That is unconstitutional, and I think the governor should even take up the people saying that.
So that no, where they are hinting it is because of the way the governor and the powers that be. This is Nigerian politics.
It's not about powers that be. One could say in his mind, I will not vote for the governor. But to say the governor
cannot contest.
That cannot. It's a statement that is not constitutional. If I were
for somebody to box him into a corner, not
for whatever reason, Governor Similaye Fubara has a right to vote and be voted for.
Yes.
And then let Rivers people
speak through their votes.
Yes, let them speak through their votes. If they feel if he can survive the primaries.
That is the thing.
If he can survive the primaries, then he has nobody should say he cannot contest.
That's why he has to play the politics. The governor should build bridges.
Yeah, still back to square one.
Yes, and not, you know, he said that one with God is majority. But all I know, Laurentia, in all the places in the world that politics is being played, it is not the angels that come and vote. And God, I said it when this issue was going on. You can recall some of my programs. I said that God makes men through the instrumentality of men. God cannot come down from heaven and ordain you a king. It is through the instrumentality of your fellow man who will see that when they were calling the governor, the Joshua, the Moses, the David of our time. I said, but somebody, it took somebody in the person of Nelson Wike to saw that Messianic nature in him, in order to call him out. Let us face the fact. And now we are going back to God.
But the thing is, well, if you bring in the God factor, I always say on my program that we should not bring God into.
Yeah, but that's what the governor went to church and was saying.
It's too murky.
Yes.
Politics is too murky.
So that's why I'm bringing it that the governor shouldn't.
The people you talked about in the Bible were righteous men, and they were blameless before God.
Yes.
Can we say that for Nigerian
No,
politicians?
you can't.
As good as mine. Moving forward, former Abia State governors, Senator Ojiuzo Kalu and Senator Theodore Oji, have united with other political actors to challenge Governor Alex Otti ahead of the 2027 general election, holding a strategic meeting in Umuahia to reclaim power in the state. Kalu said the gathering brought together leaders who governed Abia between 2009 and 2023 to form a common political front, insisting their years in office contributed meaningfully to the state's development. Kalu, who represents Abia North in the Senate, described leadership as a relay race, arguing that successive administrations from his tenure to that of Okezi Bazu played key roles in Abia's growth. He proposed expanding the group known as the Team to include all former political office holders, including National Assembly members who served within the period, a motion that was unanimously adopted. Reacting, Governor Otti dismissed the meeting and criticisms from opposition figures, describing them as noise driven by personal ambition rather than public interest. Speaking at a church event in Umuahia, Otti said residents should ignore the activities of former leaders, likening them to empty barrels making loud noise, and insisting their gathering lacked moral and popular legitimacy. The governor maintained that his administration will remain focused on governance, not political distractions, stressing that opposition politicians represented only a tiny minority. He accused them of prioritizing personal survival over the welfare of Abia people, even as political alignments intensify ahead of the 2027 elections. Ugochukwu, we are here. What is your take on this development in Abia State?
You know, like I said in my intro, that it seems the wind of the political climate in Rivers State is getting to Abia State. You know, we didn't get to see much about Abia politics in 2023 because the governor, you know, whenever a sitting governor is not coming back, is not vying, maybe his first tenure, the political atmosphere is always neither here nor there. That's what we saw. And Okezi Bazu, we recall somebody, Ekweremadu, one professor whom he positioned to vie for the governor, who suddenly passed on before the election. And another primaries were done in the PDP to get another flag bearer. Then APC then had no strong footing in Abia State. Then Labour Party came as a tsunami, came as a wave with the Obi wave and Otti, who has been vying for this particular position over the years in Abga. You know, immediately after, there's one man, I think his name will come, who also ventured into politics through Abga. Immediately he left, Otti surfaced and took, and from what we are getting, given what would have even happened in 2003, if not for the resilience and the doggedness of
Professor Mrs. Nena Oti, the story would have been the same. That means what we've been hearing over the years during elections, that ABGA have been winning, or the other political party has been winning, might have been true. Because if the professor herself would come out and expose what happened, how she was pressured into doing the thing that is not right, and she stood her ground, not even Abian people, because if she has compromised, the story would have been the same. Would have gotten back to square one. But be that as it may, the nature used her to liberate the Abian, because the time of their liberation came and they had it. Then fast forward to Oti taking over, and you know, there was nothing on ground. Just like most governors in Nigeria, even when they are taking over from themselves after their first term, we say they met an empty treasury. Oti meant an empty treasury. Yeah, some governors do copy and paste. When they go there, they say, you are the one taking over from yourself. For second tenure, you say you met an empty treasury. Who emptied the treasury? This is what we see in Nigeria. So when you talk about Oti started Abia State from the scratch. I spent my 8 years in Abia State, 6 years in Umuahia, 2 years in Aba. So when you talk about the infrastructural revolution that is going on in Abia State, the visible, we are not talking about audio. We are not talking about the governor will come and do this. I recall when Ojus Okalo was the governor, his second tenure, we are hearing about the mother was everywhere. There was yes.
That one that people wake up in the morning and go to
the office of the first lady was non-existent. If former Ojus Okalo was not in existence. You are hearing Elder Mrs. Oji and all that. And this was how Ojus Okalo positioned himself and was also positioning T.A. Oji to take over from him. Ojus Okalo, when he was the governor of Abia State, from all the things that happened, has no moral ground to ask anybody that the person is not performing in Abia State. The governor of Abia State, the former governor of Abia State, in the person of Oti, have no, political stand to come and challenge the performance of LXOT. I saw roads constructed under the tenure of Ojus Okalo collapse. I also had when Enyimba was playing the CAF Champions League, it was not the monies of Abia State government that was used in funding it. It was the monies collected from traders that were used in funding it. I saw health workers go on strike. I had teachers go on strike under the governorship tenure of Ojus Okalo. Ojus Okalo was the person who led Abia State. He had the interest to revolutionize Aba infrastructurally, but he was sentimental.
Ojus
Okalo was sentimental because his sentiment grew from he's an Aba boy. Then he was now going to the what do you call it? The landlords in Aba and said that, do you want roads? Because it will affect their buildings. But Rocha Sokorocha came, and when he wanted to embark on the revolutionary of roads in Imo State, he started by bringing down his own building. Ojus Okalo, Rocha Sokorocha started by bringing down the building he bought along Olo Akokwidato Road. When he appointed there was a man he appointed as the environmental chief in Imo State. He said, I want to give you this job. Can you do this job? The man said yes. He said, your father's property is obstructing the road. Immediately he said that, the man went and pulled down his father's structure in Owerri, and went to Olo and put down the structure of Rochas Okorocha along the way where he's constructing. But Ojus Okalu failed in that right when he was the governor of Abia State. When
you said he was sentimental, I'm interested to know, apart from the roads, what other infrastructure did Ojus Okalu, establish in Abia State?
No, Ojus Okalu established his own personal, the Sun newspapers was established when he was the governor.
That's not an Abia State.
No, but that's his investment that came up as him being the governor of Abia State.
Okay, very well.
When you now talk about the infrastructure that the foundation that he laid for infrastructure.
What of T.A. Oji?
Abia State. I'm going to T.A. Oji because Ojus Okalu was the person, recall that he fell out with Obasanjo and he quickly formed PPA. He left PDP and formed PPA for him to be able to, consolidate in Abia State. On that his consolidation was what brought about T.A. Oji. When Ojus Okalu failed from all his political masterclass, because Ojus Okalu knew, because of his closeness to IBB, Ojus Okalu knew that the democracy will be coming. He started on time to gather
the people onto his side. That was how Ojus Okalu came as a governor in Abia State. And when he came, Ojus Okalu did not engage the services of expatriates or known construction companies in constructing a road as delicate as that of Abia State. Abia State roads and soil texture could be attributed to that of Enugu State and Ebonyi State. But Ojus Okalu knew the construction of the roads he did collapse under his watch. At least the road leading to my school in Bende was constructed 2 times under the administration of Ojus Okalu. And they collapsed because they were substandard. Then fast forward to that, he was accused and even convicted of embezzling 7.1 billion. Not accused. He was convicted of embezzling and was sentenced of Abia State money. Right. That's why I told you that he achieved by conniving with slug air and slug shipping and slug shipping and construction to rake in Abia State money. He also was the person who the court sentenced for 12 years concurrently on 39 count charge. But what happened, because Nigeria is a society that I would not like to paint on national television, paint Nigeria as it is in your own mind. So Ojus Okalu is now moving freely on the streets of Nigeria because of whatever the government of APC did then by removing Mohammed Idris from the Federal High Court in Lagos and taking him to appeal court. That is why they said that the case should be retried. And Ojus Okalu, it should be noted, is still under trial at the lower court till today. So fast forward to Governor T.A. Oji, who won election through the influence of Ojus Okalu while in prison. Oti came and embezzled, the only governor that embezzled the highest money in Nigeria, 46.1 billion naira. And he is seated in the Senate. He was given a chance to go to the Nigerian Senate.
That is T.A. Oji.
T.A. Oji, if you go to the list of EFCC and people that are under EFCC investigation and under EFCC that are undergoing trials in Nigeria, T.A. Oji from Abia State is the highest looter in Nigeria. 46 billion. Ojus Okalu was 7.1 billion. It's only 46 billion naira. And the money of Abians. T.A. Oji did not improve on the infrastructure development. He did not make any concerted effort to employ the Abia people. He was busy fighting for survival and how he could, how he could pull himself off from the grip of Ojus Okalu in Abia State. So the tenure of T.A. Oji, I'm not surprised, Laurentia, because now they are using LXOT to do what Pilate and Herod did with Jesus Christ. Because when you send to this one will send to this one, and all of them use it to mend their fences. OT has presented a veritable tool for them to, fraternize together.
All right.
If you flip to Ibazo, who is a member of the team, I'm questioning the morality and the political moral ground on which they are coming to wrestle power from LXOT. When all of them were here, and when people, Aba roads were impassable, Ikone Road, Areaba, Cemetery Road, Aloji, Fox Road, all these roads were in Abia State. None of them were able to rescue the people of Abia State. Some streets in Abia State were impassable. Abia State don't have a befitting government house, and the one that he did was to align himself with the FCT minister in order to cover his grounds. That is why people have petitioned them, and some of his commissioners, his former commissioners, Okezi Bazo, is under the custody of EFCC on the account of the sins that is committed under the watch of Okezi Bazo.
Right.
So Okezi Bazo himself, who instituted an audio airport project in Abia State, that nothing, just like the one Hakim did in Imo State when he said that he was building a blue whatever in Uguta Lake. He went to South Africa and collected the 40 million bond. The one that positioned it to come back to Imo State in Hakim. Hakim went and collected the money, and the Abia State people could not see any tangible project that was executed under the Ibaza administration.
Right.
When Nelson Wike was here building flyovers, he couldn't complete one in 3 years that he started.
The one
he couldn't complete. Yes, the one of Osioma, he couldn't complete it in 3 years. And then you fast forward to Oti, who has built a modern refinery, who has improved the life of Abians, who have employed 5,423 teachers, who has improved on health sector, Oti, who has completed litany of road infrastructural developments running into 200 and something kilometers. People has confessed of plying the Abia State federal roads as they were going for Christmas season, and they are confessing. And nobody in Abia State now is running away from Abia State. So where is the moral ground? That's the question I asked the people coming for team.
For the coming
together. And the coming together, like I said, is because of the voice that is resonating from Benjamin Kano. And I told Benjamin Kano, you are still a young man, save your money. And when your scorecard was given in your constituency, what can you juxtapose it with what OT is doing in the whole of Abia State?
All right, very well.
And Lorenza, before you flip, it was under Ibazo that we saw that women were asked to go to the government hospital to give birth, and they were given 500 naira. I've gone to countries that they have social security. Is that a social security? And he was asked on a national television, what is 500 naira for? He said it was for safe delivery, for whatever. That what will you ask a poor woman to do with 500 naira? That is a governor that was receiving billion. I checked how much OT has received as revenue. Is running into 500 to 495 billion. Then during Okezi Bazo, he received 466 billion. 466 billion. Where are those monies before the coming of OT? When you look at the landscape and the poverty and the way that Abians were left to wallow in abject poverty, no infrastructure development, you can't go to Abia State and breathe a good air. You cannot go to Abia State and come back the same day.
All right, Ifeanyi, I can actually tell that you're very, very passionate about this, and you're quite angry with this story.
No, they are gathering together on this coalition means nothing to me.
But then, to a large extent, there has been a transition, from what was to what is currently in Abia State. One would say to a large extent, it's one thing to have a meeting somewhere and make these decisions and proclamations. And another thing to actually, I would actually want to watch, you know, how they will be able to translate this into votes.
Yes.
I am quite interested to see Governor Orji Uzor, the former governor Orji Uzor, T.A. Orji and Ikpeazu. I will actually love to see them walk the streets of Abia State, walk the streets of Abia State, and Aba especially, to tell people not to vote for Alex Oti, but to vote for them. Because, I mean, the testament of Okezi Ikpeazu stands till today at Osisioma. You know, recently while traveling, you know, during the Xmas season, I had to, you know, drive on top of that flyover. That flyover has broken down badly, like really, really badly. And I found it interesting though, because Governor Alex Oti had worked on that Aba-Port Harcourt-Enugu Express Road. The moment you leave Port Harcourt, you will know the road changes.
Of course.
You understand? The road changes that you have left Port Harcourt, you are now in Abia State. The road is 98% complete, you know, and very smooth all the way until you get to Sioma flyover. And then you climb the flyover, you now know that, okay, something is not right. And when you see the breaking down of the flyover, the potholes, they are really bad. But you will see that
the quality, the texture of the material.
I became scared for myself that was driving on top of that flyover, and I became scared for people who are under the flyover selling things under the flyover. That flyover can actually fall at any time. Going by the quality, the stand was brittle. You can tell.
The material, the quality of the material. You can tell
it's a risk.
And the construction company used.
That is a risk. Apart from that, I want to use this opportunity to call on the governor of Abia State, Governor Alex Oti. If possible, they should bar motorists from taking that flyover. That flyover is a death trap. That Osisioma flyover built by Governor, the former governor, Okezi Ikpeazu. That flyover is a death trap. I drove on top of that flyover. That flyover, the pothole is not just bad, but you can actually tell, because now we can see inside, you know, whatever it was that was used in building that flyover. That it is substandard. It can collapse at any time. If heavy duty vehicles like trailers, if they ply there, anything can happen at any time. This is just me calling out, please, for the lives and safety of people who ply that road and people who sell things under the flyover, as well as security agencies and security personnel that, you know, handle security under that flyover. And environmental. That flyover should be bad, you know, from motorists for now, pending when the right thing is done. Apart from finding that interesting, I'm also interested to know how they intend to translate this to votes. Yes, PDP has had over 16 years. Remember when T.A. Orji was the governor of Abia State and Okezi Ikpeazu was the ASEPA chairman? How dirty. Abia State at some point was the dirtiest city in Nigeria.
If not in West Africa.
At some point, it was actually on record. And then the same man became the governor of Abia State, and your Abia State was not motorable. In fact, if you're coming from Port Harcourt, as soon as how you know you have entered Abia State is there was this dump on the expressway that smelled for miles. And Alex Oti came and cleaned that.
Even when you wind up,
then you look at transportation system in Abia State has been it has been resurrected by the governor Alex Oti
administration
with electric buses. The roads are, I mean, it's quite interesting what Governor Alex Oti has done.
You know,
and having the people of Abia State having seen actual governance,
of course,
as against having not seen governance for over 16 years. How are these people going to convince the people of Abia State to vote for their candidate? Considering again that even the current National Assembly members that are in APC and PDP and all of that, the people of Abia State cannot say for a fact that this is what they have done or what they have benefited in terms of constituency projects. How are they going to convince the state? I am interested to know. I grew up in Abia State anyway, so I have good grasp. Recall that it was in the administration of Ojo Zokalo that I think Bakassi started.
Yes.
Because of the height of insecurity.
And
it was in Abia State at that time. Economy collapsed in Aba because it was unsafe for people. First of all, there were no roads, right? And then when you manage to come, you're not sure of your life. Women, girls were being raped by 6 a.m. on the road. Because then my parents stopped me from going out to buy things. Once it's 5 o'clock, any young lady walking on the road is at risk. Any young girl, married woman, unmarried, is at risk. Women were being raped on the road publicly, you know, and it was so bad. At some point, there was a pregnant woman that was killed who came from, I think, Lagos or so, to buy things from Samek.
Okay. And
she was killed and butchered and packed inside Ghana Moscow. That was what gave rise to Bakassi. Maybe people don't know the history of Bakassi. In
Abia State.
That was what gave rise to Bakassi. Bakassi was started by Samek, this boy, then
yes.
Their Samek and Powerline. I used to sell shoe parts in Powerline. I had shops, so I know. That was what gave rise to Bakassi. Bakassi was started by shoemakers in Aba to protect, because now they were losing customers. People were no longer coming. They had to weigh bill, and at some point their goods got lost in transit. So that particular killing of that pregnant woman was what flipped,
metamorphosed into the formation
Bakassi.
Of Bakassi.
Then the current senator Ojo Zokalo was the then governor of Abia State. So how Abia people have not forgotten. I want to know how they intend to. How do they want to do this magic?
You see, Laurentia, you know, from the exposure I made, PDP have not been winning election. Recall that Abia State is one of the Igbo traditional states that has the same, you know, court followership as we have in Anambra State. When you talk about this Abga, or when you talk about the Igbo-ness of an Igbo man, you will find it more from the people of Abia State, especially in Aba, which is the economic hub in West Africa. Then you now talk about people from Anambra State that has stood their ground with Abga. That is what would have happened in Abia State. But for the fact that Ojo Zokalo was very close to IBB, and you know that IBB was among the founders of and the formators of PDP. So till death. So that was how Ojo Zokalo made that inroute and dislodged dislodged Abga. So now, when you now juxtapose it that OT started on nothing. If there was something that was laid down, that I've said, in Abia State, and OT came and is continuing, just like we have seen the performance of Rotimi Amechi, came and consolidated visibly, very visibly, by Nyesom Wike. That is why I did advise Governor Fubara, look for any other sector to make your mark. If it's in roads, construction of bridges and other, you cannot outperform what Nyesom Wike have done. Look for elsewhere and make your mark. So in Abia State, there is nothing. There is no precedent set infrastructurally for people to see and now condemn OT that is not doing anything. Laurentia, I don't know if you're getting the so for this man to come and start from nowhere and people are seeing it visibly, is very visible to the blind and very audible to the deaf. And the dumb are confessing it with their mouths. So where are those men who has hitherto raked and been able to the patrimony of Abia State is in their kitty. The patrimony of Abia State, because those people are still in the litigation with EFCC. So it is not any allegation. We only, and for a court to have convicted a governor, so Ojo Zokalo is among the governors of Nigeria that have been convicted of fraud. It is on record. It is on record. So if you are now asking me how other people are going to react, let them dare to go to Abians and speak to them now about vote.
Is there
any of them, any of the former governors that they have not received their own share of the pure water missiles in Abia State and in CKC Aba? Is none of them from Ojos Okalo to OT, even the bishops were being criticized by the people for inviting them. And when the bishops were head-bent on calling them to come and address the people, they received the missiles of pure water from the people. 10 of them is on record. So is it on that premise that they are going to Abia people to tell them what? Laurentia, what are they going to tell the Abians, for crying out loud? And Benjamin Ikalo, whom they are positioning now, what is scorecard on his constituency? What has he? I have drawn analysis and comparison of how Ms. Omike is repositioning people from here in the federal sector. Which have they done?
Right.
Have they even given employment to their people? Were they able to improve healthcare, education? Were they able to improve roads, sanitary? I have not heard since OT entered, Laurentia, about any complaint concerning sanitation in Abia State. That means everything that has bedeviled Abia State has been washed away by OT. And again, finally...
You have painted OT to be...
Yes, and finally, if they are banking
yes.
on their strength on APC, I will disappoint them now, because we saw the politics that played out in Anambra State. The governor of Anambra State played his politics with APC, and the governor said, I don't see people who are contesting with me. I only see people who are just coming to fraternize with me during the elections.
Right.
That is what will happen in Abia State. Because recall, 2 weeks ago, the chairman of APC Progressive Governors Forum, in the person of Hope Uzodinma, visited OT. He visited the OT and the statement was made. And the OT has aligned himself with the renewed hope. So I wonder where those people are coming. What happened in Abia State will play out. When you didn't see APC governors and APC national roll out the drum for the grand finale of their campaign in Anambra State. Laurentia, you were here now. Who was in Abia State for the grand finale of that, the person who was vying for the governor? That will tell you that the game was up. This thing will also play out in Osun State.
All right, very well.
In Osun, and where Adeleke has moved to Accord Party, has already played his politics with APC. Another person coming there is wasting time. This is a political prophecy. Take it to the CBN Bank.
All right, thank you very much. Your political prophecy has been noted. Thank you very much, Ugochukwu Ifeanyichukwu. It's a pleasure having you today on Open Conversation. Thank you for coming.
Laurentia, thank you, Rivers people, as we keep our fingers crossed on the political developments in Rivers State.
All right, thank you so much to our viewers for always staying connected to us on Open Conversation, and this is where we wrap it up on this episode. We are open for sponsorship of the program, advert placements, news, events, coverage, and commercials. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv, on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. You can also watch us on Avo TV, Niger TV, and Efastec TV platform. You can connect with us on our ATN socials by subscribing, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on X, Atlantic TV Net. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Laurentia Ogu. Transition News comes up next. Do not go away.